Welcome to the After the Show movie podcast, brought to you by your hosts, Ace Scully and Sid Talk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Welcome. Hello, Sid Talk. How are you?
Are you three welcomes for the three listeners?
Yes.
But not one for me. That's fine.
Well, the two and you.
Oh, there you go.
That's it.
I'm all right. The before the after the show discussion wasn't much because I've been out of town for a week. And so I came home, got out of the car, came in the house. We watched the movie. That was pretty much it.
We did. We got onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we got. The end.
Goodbye, everyone.
All right.
Oh, we watched a movie too.
Oh, yeah, we did. All right. Saturday, March the 9th. This is After the Show 881. The movie we're looking at this week on our movie review podcast is Heart Eyes. It's a 2025 movie, released now on streaming, rated R. Its runtime is 1 hour and 37 minutes, and it's from our friends at Sony, who sent us a copy for review. Sid Talk, can you give us the synopsis of the movie Heart Eyes?
Serial killer in a romantic comedy.
Are you a robot again?
Well, it's robotic.
All right.
It's a formula, which they put together.
I'll give you the one off the cover.
It's not that.
No. For the past several years, the Heart Eyes killer has wreaked havoc on Valentine's Day by stalking and murdering romantic couples. This Valentine's Day, no couple is safe.
Okay.
So it's one of those.
It's equally robotic as mine.
As the Terrifier 3 was to Christmas, Heart Eyes is to Valentine's Day, right?
Right.
Maybe not as vicious as Terrifier, though. It is pretty vicious, though. You got to give it. It's a slasher movie.
It is. It's old-fashioned slasher with fumbly couple finding their way to romance.
We won't spoil the final act of the movie, let's say. We'll talk about everything up to the final act.
We won't tell you who Heart Eyes is.
Right. So, movie starts off, it's clear from the offset that it is goofy, right?
Correct.
It's played for laughs all the
Goofy
time.
but sweet.
Yes.
I don't always love sweet, but I was actually okay with this movie.
I'm trying to think of another movie where it plays goofy, but it's also really horrific at the same time. Because the kills are really gross in this.
I think that Cabin in the Woods had a lot of goof.
Yeah.
Throughout, you know?
This is a straight up slasher, though. There's nothing, not supernatural or anything, is it? It's just a slasher.
Yeah.
Like the old fashioned slasher movie. It could be turned into a supernatural movie, I guess.
You say old-fashioned, being with no supernatural, but I mean, Michael Myers, hello. Jason Voorhees, hello. They're both supernatural. Freddy Krueger, hello.
Supernatural.
Are those the old-fashioned ones you're talking about? Because they all have something spiritual.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Yeah.
I guess. What's the old-fashioned slasher that's not supernatural? Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yes. Ugh. Yeah. Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. The grotesque, really. So do we like it better when it's just people who are completely effed up? Or do we like it better when there's some force that's causing it to happen?
I kind of like the force thing.
Because you're wanting to know what's up with art, aren't you, still?
Yeah, I think we're going to find out, right, with Art the Clown. You know what? Art the Clown's kind of ruined horror movies for me a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Because Art the Clown is so extreme. You know, you've never seen anything like some of the kills he does. Kills in other movies, like in this one, even though they are pretty extreme, they don't seem to cross the line.
You're like, that's not a child.
You're like, this is like a Disney version of Art's kills.
Oh my goodness. It's not.
You know what I'm saying, though?
I do, but it's hard.
They feel a bit watered down compared to that.
If it's your first horror movie,
yeah,
it's got a lot of gore. Yeah. I'll give you that.
But if you have seen the Terrifier franchise, then you've kind of got this expectation of, oh, horror films can really go for it now. And then when they don't...
I don't know. I don't think the gore and the grossness it doesn't faze me as like quality or something I'm looking for. I'm not waiting for the big, massive blood gush. I don't mind not seeing it. It's the sounds and knowing what's happened, like Hostel, when you first discover what's going on. And then there's the drill. And then you see the guy's knee, but you don't see the drill going into the knee. And you're just like, ah!
I mean, there is that way of doing it, but there's also the gross way of doing it too, which I kind of like.
Oh, I see.
You might as well go for it. If you're going to be horrific, be horrific.
Yeah, if you go, yes.
Yeah.
Be all in.
Yeah. So that's what I appreciate about those films. And then watching this, I'm like, yeah, that is pretty gross. There's a woman at the beginning who gets trapped in a, what do you call that thing? Wine?
It's the big grape press that they make wine with.
Yeah. So imagine somebody being crushed in one of those and seeing it in graphic. Well, in almost cartoonish detail.
Yes, cartoonish is a good word for this movie. So our villain is cartoonish. Our two lovebirds are cartoonish. Her friends are cartoonish. Her boss is cartoonish. The cops are cartoonish. So it's sort of like, or caricatures. I don't know how else to. They're all a bit like you just peeled them out of the page of a graphic novel.
I also think that applies to the Scream movies. Like everybody in the Scream movies is caricature or
true,
or silly or
like
goofy.
a pretentious cardboard cutout of somebody. Yeah.
So this has a lot to owe to that kind of thing because that's how it feels. I was reading about the director of this movie. He said he wanted the love parts of the movie to feel like Crazy Stupid Love, those kind of movies. And he wanted the horror parts to feel like Wes Craven movies. So he wanted to, his idea was blending those two things together.
Yeah.
I think he succeeded in that. If this movie does anything, it succeeds in like making a rom-com type thing.
Not if you're making it for us, but if you're making it for people who haven't been watching horror movies for, let's face it, 50 years.
There's going to be somebody who
We've been watching horror movies since we were too young to watch horror movies, which was the 70s. The 1970s, sorry, kid, 1970s and the 1900s. And so if you're making it for us, it's not good. It's going to be like, oh, that was all right. That was, but we're like, we're hardened, right?
See, for my idea, if I was making this movie,
okay,
I would market it as a romantic comedy without any, even the poster would look like a romantic comedy. I would totally go hard on it being a romantic comedy. And then when people come to see it, then I'll lay it on them.
I mean, after the first night, that would be blown, wouldn't it? But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the cover to this movie, it's clear it's a horror movie, right? It's not trying to be anything else. But the movie itself tries to do that because no, it doesn't, because they have a kill, don't they, in the beginning?
Mm-hmm.
I think I might try and fool you in an M. Night Shyamalan type twist. Until about halfway through the movie when you're like, oh, crap, this is not
You mean like Dusk Till Dawn?
Yeah. That would be a good idea, but it's
Too
hard
late.
to pull it off now, isn't it?
Yes, I think it'd be almost impossible.
With the internet and all that, like you said, the second somebody sees a test screening or something, everybody knows about it.
Correct. You can't really keep the secret.
Yeah. That's a shame, isn't it? Because that takes movies like Dusk Till Dawn off the table because you can't do it.
I mean, you can.
You'll have got wind of it by the time you see
exactly.
it. Yeah. So what did you think of Heart Eyes?
I enjoyed it. I mean, I like them a lot. Like the people playing, they're not a couple. They're not together.
No.
I like both of them, their performances. It's like, right on. Of course, there's that level of like, city people with their little jobs and.
Yeah, it's got a lot of trope.
She works for an advertising or for a jewelry company and she's in advertising and she's made a campaign that's obnoxious because there's a murderer and her campaign involves couples who have died in history or literature like Romeo and Juliet or what's their faces? Jack and what's her face?
Dexter.
No. Jack and
Diane.
Rose.
Yes.
From the Titanic. So she made a little campaign about that. And then, of course, because there's a murderer on the loose, she's almost going to get fired. This guy shows up. He's Mr. Genius, like Don. What's his face? Why am I not remembering anyone's?
Is your brain malfunction?
It is. From Mad Men, that guy.
Don Draper.
Yeah. So they're bringing like a suave, sort of cutesy guy who's supposed to save the day. And then, of course, they literally bump heads and have an awkward Lucille Ball moment. They're not together, but then for some reason, our villain decides to target them.
It's all very,
it feels like...
it feels like trope after trope after trope, but then you realize, well, that's what this movie is.
Right,
That's
and once because they're good, I think. I mean, I really liked watching both of them.
Right.
And a lot of the dialogue is fun, and I was okay with that. And then you just move right into the whole thing.
I knew from the beginning that it was like, okay, I get the gist of the whole air of this movie, and that's what I have to go with.
Yes, you have to just let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's going to be goofy. I would call it goofy. There's nothing serious anywhere, is there really?
I mean, we have a serial killer on the loose.
Yeah, but even that is, I don't know.
It's cartoonish. It was just unfortunate because I want a serious.
Did you like the design of the...
I thought it was a little
guy?
bit boring, to be honest. I know it's called Hard Eyes because the mask has hearts cut for the eyes, but I think it's really...
It's very, like, elaborate because it's got LED, you know...
Night vision.
Night vision.
Red night vision.
LEDs to make the hearts light up. So, you know, it's somebody went to real... They didn't just buy it off the shelf.
It just felt kind of, you know.
Yeah.
I wasn't menaced.
I mean, there was times where I didn't expect him. He jumps out of certain places.
Sure.
I was like, fuck, I didn't think he was there. Like they were having a romantic scene in her apartment. And he's just
Spoiler
literally,
alert.
yeah, I think it might be in the trailer, to be honest. But he's literally stood in the closet, just minding his own business. Well,
for quite a while.
Minding their business in the closet. So there is like jump scares.
Quite a few.
There's lots of gore. I said to you at the beginning, why is he using a crossbow? And then it dawned on me quickly that Cupid shoots arrows at people.
And I didn't even think of that, so that was good.
Yeah. I mean, if he wanted to be really, you know, genuine, he would have used an actual bow and arrow, right? But maybe that's a bit unwieldy.
Bing. Yeah.
Like Hawkeye, you know. So I liked it, you know. I liked it. But
it's like you're coming to terms with it, it sounds like.
When you say empty calorie movies, this is totally one of those.
That's what I said. It's like, oh, that was fun. I mean, I had a good time. I was interested.
But then if you asked me about it in 3 or 4 weeks, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I remember the guy with that eyes.
Do you mean it's not going to be on your top 10 list?
Probably not. I don't feel like I'd remember the plot. If it does get a sequel, which they definitely were angling at, I think.
It feels like it, yeah.
If it did, I don't think I'd be like, what happened in that first one? Because we'll have seen a lot of movies by that point, right? It's not a memorable thing. Is Scream a memorable thing? I think it is, right?
Yeah, definitely the original. I don't remember any of the others besides the original, to be honest.
Right.
Well, the one where they go on the movie set where they're making the movie of their own Scream.
I think that was the second one.
I don't remember the story of that. I just remember them going onto a movie set. That's it.
I was looking at Final Destination the other day. Something about Final Destination popped up in my feed, and I was like, we've seen them, but I don't remember those either. Do you?
I remember a tanning bed death and the things coming out.
Was that even Final Destination, the tanning bed death?
Yeah, that one was Final Destination.
What were the deaths that I remember in those? And then I'm like, I don't remember it. I think I might remember a plane blowing up.
In the beginning, they're supposed to go on a flight and then they don't. And the reason they're getting hunted by death is because they cheated death by not being on that flight. And now death is going to find them, see? I mean, we're talking about another movie here, but yeah, that's what what you're remembering.
But I'm just thinking about how memorable things are. And even that, I know it's a long time ago. It came out in 2000.
Wow.
Final Destination.
Okay.
But even that, I vaguely remember some stuff. This one, I don't think I would. I mean, maybe they'll turn it into a franchise and you'll remember it very well, like you do all of them. But I don't know about that, do you?
No.
It's clever because the movie companies you can make some money every Valentine's Day with one of these.
Absolutely.
Right?
And you change up all the kills and you change up who your target couple is, and or you start having like people who are now posing as a couple to trap the killer, you know.
Yeah.
All the stuff. I could write it all for you, Hollywood.
And I was trying to think if there's another Valentine's Day. And there's My Bloody Valentine, which I looked up. And do you remember that one?
Mm-mm.
It's been remade. It was an older movie and then it was remade. And it's like a mine, like a miner coming out of a mine.
No.
On Valentine's Day. Well, there's that. That's the only other one I can.
There's that.
Valentine's Day is not really a horror day, is it? Well, this year we had Companion that came out on Valentine's Day as well. I know, and Companion is a horror movie, isn't it? With a bit of a love area to it. True. So yeah, I liked it. I just thought I'll have forgot it next week. And is that bad? Because sometimes you just need a bit of entertainment and then you're done with it.
Oh, I didn't do my recommendations or anything today, but I'll wing it when we get there.
Yeah, like some movies like this, you sit down, you watch it for 90 minutes, and then that's fine. You had some fun. You don't need to remember
Absolutely.
it. You don't need to reflect on it. You don't need to,
It's not changing your life.
But you might watch another movie where you reflect on it for an entire week. Because you're like, whoa, that movie's crazy. But I think there's room for this type of movie. Let's get on to the cast.
Aye.
Mason Goodling plays Jay. He's our hunky romantic hero. I'll tell you, he was in the Scream movies with the new ones. Do you remember?
No.
He was the jock with the...
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in both of them in the two new ones. So what did you think of him here? He
I
wasn't
really
a jock here.
No, I really liked how he was supposed to be sort of like this overly groomed, semi-pretentious professional guy who has all the right smooth things to say. He's super confident, like at work. He's basically like patting everybody on their heads a little bit, like, yeah, I'm the genius coming in a little bit, and so I'm going to fix everything. Hey, real cool. And he's cool with her.
And he's handsome.
He's kind of trying to figure her out. We find out later when he kind of confesses that he's like a suffocating kind of a boyfriend. If he becomes your boyfriend, he sort of wants to smother you with romance. You know what I mean? So you see that sort of like suave thing, but he's not obnoxious. So
No.
I was okay with it. I liked him. I think he was good in the funny things, in the getting close to romance, and then also action scenes. I was impressed.
And then we've got Olivia Holt as Allie. I'd never seen this girl before. Do you know her?
She looked familiar, but I don't know.
She was from Totally Killer. She wasn't the main person in that, but she was one of the, I was going to say kids, but teenagers in that. So what do you think of her? I think she was actually pretty good.
Absolutely.
I think she would actually be good in a romantic comedy, which didn't have the horror. Because she was funny at the beginning when we weren't really doing horror. She was very funny in that part, even though that part is very pretentious.
Yeah, but she was the beacon of light.
Yes.
Of like, she's kind of, sarcastic, of course, and a little bit like, over it all and not too much. I don't know. I like, and again, she did good in the funny stuff.
Yeah.
The slapsticky stuff, the sort of like heart to heart about talking about her life stuff, and then running from a murderer and fighting a murderer because she's tough. Like that's one thing I really liked about her was she had special skills.
That's what I said to you. I couldn't see, like, she's definitely going to survive this movie, I was thinking.
Yeah. What'd you call her?
Final girl.
Right.
Yeah. We got Gigi Zimbardo as Monica. She's her friend. Like, she's her best friend, basically.
She's kind of her just loud and forward friend.
Also pretty funny in the beginning parts.
Yes.
And then we've got...
Somebody else had a friend like that in some movie. Almost exactly the same.
I feel like there's a million movies with that friend. We've also got the two cops, Hobbs and Shaw. And yes, they are Hobbs and Shaw. Well, they're not Hobbs and Shaw, but they make a joke about it.
Yeah, it's over the top. I wasn't impressed.
I thought it was very funny.
I didn't.
But what makes it even funnier is Shaw is played by Jordana Brewster. And Hobbs is played by Devon Sauer. You'll know Devon Sauer, talking of Final Destination. He was the main guy in the original Final Destination.
And if you don't know who she is, she's from Fast and the Furious, which was born the Hobbs and Shaw movie. Yeah.
What was funny, though, is they said, we're police officers Hobbs and Shaw. And they looked at them and said, you mean like in the movies? And they both look at each other and say, we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really good. It was like my favorite part of the movie. I don't know. Is it because I'm a Fast and the Furious fan?
I didn't love it that much, but it was cute.
That's the cast, directed by Josh Rubin. He directed a movie called Scare Me and a movie called Die Hard. Do you know these movies?
Die Hard. No, I don't think so.
Kevin Hart is in it, I think.
Oh, I don't know.
I've not seen either of them. What do you think? I mean, it's pretty standard, to be fair.
It is.
It's standard as far as a romantic comedy goes, and it's standard as far as a horror movie goes.
But getting everybody to be really committed, even though it's a bit cartoony and they're like, mustache twirling.
Oh, totally.
Villain person. It's still like you got something good out of everybody. And there's a lot of night shooting and it all looked good. I thought it all looked good.
Do you think it was day for night?
I don't know. Don't ruin the illusion. I think it's nighttime.
I liked the inclusion of a drive-in movie. You don't see those very often.
You don't. So is that a lie? Are there no driving? There must be a drive-in movie left.
After the pandemic, they all died, right?
Well,
completely.
you'd think the pandemic would be a boom because you're sitting in your car. You're not even with anybody.
Mm.
It's like the perfect place to go for pandemic.
Well, there's still the...
I think that one was just sort of like, it's Valentine's Day. We're showing a romantic old-time movie.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. IMDb reviews. What are those?
Those are reviews on IMDb, which I'm looking at right now to get my recommendations. And I see where people do little stars on them. And you like to find the 1 star, 1 out of 10 star reviews, and then explain to us why they're wrong.
Yeah, these are the people who didn't like this movie at all.
All right.
So the first guy says, "Don't waste your time or money on this. It tries to be a horror movie, but the only thing terrifying is how bad it is. There are no scares. Even the film's twist is terrible. Don't waste your time watching this." You've said that twice now, but hey. Do you agree?
They're committed.
Yes.
No, I don't think it's a waste of your time.
Second guy
unless you're
says-
supposed to go like work in an ER or something and you decide to watch this movie instead.
Yeah. The second guy says, "This is the worst slasher film that has ever been made. It's nothing but a lame Scream copycat, but done worse.
Right on.
Some films can be dumb and effective, but this one wasn't."
I want a list of the ones that are dumb and effective. If you're going to go to the trouble to write this review, I want to be able to go and reference what you're talking about and go, you know what, dude, dudette, whatever. You're right.
This last guy says, "Lamest soap opera with 5 seconds of slasher footage. Bad no setting hour of 2 idiots." It's yada, yada, yada. He actually writes the word yada, yada, yada.
Okay.
Wishy-washy attempt at a Valentine's Day monster movie.
Yada, yada, yada.
Yes. Boring soap, lamest soap opera. So, I don't even know what he means by, I mean, the thing is, it's supposed to be what it is.
Exactly.
So it's making fun of like kind of things and being so like the romantic comedy part of it is so in your face and you feel like you've seen it 1,000 times. But that was the idea of it.
The same as Cabin in the Woods. The beginning of it is you're going like, this is so exactly, and Scream.
Yeah.
Scream starts you out that way too.
Yeah. And that's what they were doing. And you can't.
Yeah, they were very aware of what they were doing.
Yeah, it's not that they were like, "Oh, let's make a real lame intro." No. All right, so extras, we did not see any because we watched the streaming version. Conclusion, I'm going to give Heart Eyes, if I did points, but I don't, I would give it a 5.5.
Okay.
But I'll give it a 6.
Okay. But we know what's in your heart is the 0.5.
Heart Eyes.
Minus 0.5.
Yes.
I think that's fair, but I'm going to go 6.6.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's just because I enjoyed them and I enjoyed like the whole, I mean, the story gets a bit like, oh, can't you just make it better?
Be a little bit more creative.
Make a little bit better. But other than that, I mean, it is, like you said, it's going to wash in with all those other movies.
The last 2 Scream movies that we saw that we weren't that fond of, the last 2, it does feel an awful lot like those movies. The way it's...
The attitude.
And the actual beginning, middle, and end actually feel the same as them.
True.
Especially the end, let me say. It feels just like the last Scream movie to me.
Where you're like, did you guys have a meeting about this?
Like, this is a bit lame. Like, why are we doing this?
my fear is that they've taken these ideas to focus groups and they like them.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And I'm not going to say anything about it, but I just like, why?
Like, can we come up with something a little bit better than that?
Well, can we? We should write our own movie then.
We should.
That's what someone should. We can't complain if we're not willing to write and make our own movie.
That's true.
So all reviewers must stop. The profession of reviewing and critiquing anything anywhere has to stop.
Correct.
Every art critic, every food critic, unless you are a professional chef or artist or filmmaker, you cannot talk about it.
So thank you to Sony for the movie. Next week, we're looking at A24's The Brutalist, which was going to be this week's movie. But then we had a little window of time this afternoon.
Yes.
And a 4-hour movie didn't really fit in there.
Plus 4 hours is a lot after I've driven around. I've been on the go a lot this week.
So I switched it around a bit and Heart Eyes got stuck in there because it was a bit shorter.
I'm glad. It was good. It was a good, relaxing afternoon.
So next week, The Brutalist, 4 hours of intenseness.
Brutalist. That sounds like it.
The Brutalist is brutalism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's about an architect. Brutalism.
I know what brutalism is.
Yeah.
I studied art.
Well, I mean, the titles could be like, you could be like, fuck, is this about hardcore violence? No. You know what I mean? All right, movie recommendations. I put down 2 Fast and the Furious series of movies. Again, like this movie, they're kind of dopey, but fun at the same time. Right?
Definitely. You love them more than I do.
And Jordana Brewster is obviously a big part of those. And Final Destination, which Devon Sauer is in. I need to watch them again. There's a new Final Destination movie coming this year. So before we see that, we should watch the old ones.
Oh, will she do a marathon for, is it Halloween time or is it just sometime?
I think it's at the end of the year, yeah.
Okay, well, I should do that for my Halloween.
And we could watch all.
Marathoning.
There's 5 Final Destination movies.
All right, but you have to do it my way, and we can't just watch 1 a day. There has to be at least 2 a day. Because when I'm doing a marathon of movies, and by horror movies, I can watch 4 in a day.
Yeah, but let me give you this. Last year, I was like, let's do a Terrifier marathon. And we watched Terrifier, the first one. I was going to say Terrifier 1, but that is incorrect.
You hate it when people say that.
We watched Terrifier, and then I was like, fuck yes, let's watch Terrifier 2. And you said, no, we'll watch that tomorrow. So I don't know if that was you were disturbed or...
It was a bit much. And I feared that the second one would be exactly the same.
Right.
And then I was wrong. So we could have watched it that same day. I was just like, enough is enough. But I think with,
Final Destination. I mean, when you watch them all in a row, it could be enough is enough for those as well.
True.
Yeah. All right. So those are mine. Fast and the Furious and Final Destination.
I'm going back to the history of cinema and horror movies that have been made since the beginning of movies making, which, if you don't know, was like the very turn of between the 19th, 20th century. Right after that, they all began. So I worked my way up to the 50s, approaching the 60s now. And they're horror. I think I said that already. Hey, I'm right in the right genre this time. So I have Attack of the Puppet People. So you can imagine they're using their improving technology by what year is it? 1958.
Oh, yeah.
To make, make it look like somebody's tiny on the screen with, big cats chasing them and all that kind of stuff. I like those
kind of movies.
I do. And they definitely improved the technology. And then I have The Mummy from 1959, like The Mummy, right? Mm-hmm. Then we have the Twilight Zone TV show from 1959 to 64, because I do think I've seen them all.
It's great.
It is, and it's one of those where you watch one, and you're like, oh, I remember this one. I don't need to watch it, but then I'm captivated almost every time. There's a couple that I think are really boring, like the one with Kirk and his lady friend at a cafe, and then they start putting coins in this little machine that tells you the future. Do you remember that one? I don't. It's really boring. So that's one of them that I don't love. The Angry Red Planet from 1959. A woman comes back from a space exploration. Of course, in 1959, their vision of the future is, we're traveling to space. Something happened on Mars and she doesn't remember. And, it's a whole thing. Then we have Leech Woman from 1960. And here I captured the description. It's really funny. An endocrinologist, is that right?
That sounds right, yeah.
Endocrinologist is in a dysfunctional marriage with an aging alcoholic wife, journeys to Africa seeking a drug that will restore youth.
Sounds like a dream I had once.
Were there leeches? Because the title of the movie is Leech Woman.
I feel like I might have seen Leech Woman.
Oh, definitely. I think it was on Svengoolie.
On Svengoolie, yeah.
Yep.
Svengoolie's a horror host.
Horror host.
Like Elvira, but a man.
But Svengoolie.
Yeah.
He's his own thing.
Yes.
So those are my, I don't know if they're recommendations anymore. I'm just giving you the list of movies I've seen. So if you want to be just like me and who doesn't, just watch them all.
All right, Ace Scully stuff. I've been reading a new book, actually.
Oh, hey.
It's called Dungeon Crawler Carl.
I love that you've been reading books. It's fun.
Now, this book is a lit RPG. That's what they call this. It's a genre of novels. So it's like a video game, but it's actually a book. You get what I'm saying?
No.
So it's really cool. So there's this guy called Carl. He's minding his own business. This is the opening, I would say, one chapter, the beginning chapter. I'll tell you what happens. He's minding his own business, doing his thing.
Yeah, spoiling this for people who might read it.
This would be in the synopsis of the book.
Okay.
He was in the military. He's now left the military. He's at home. His girlfriend has split up with him, and she's left him her cat. And he hates cats, but he's been looking after the cat because he thinks somehow she'll come back one day, his girlfriend.
Okay.
It's 3:00 in the morning. He can't sleep. The cat wants to go outside. He lets the cat outside. He goes outside. And it's like a high-rise apartment next to his house. And there's a lady in the window. And as he's looking at the lady, the whole high-rise apartment gets squished into the ground. Like, imagine somebody pushing it down into the ground.
Okay.
But not only does that apartment, everything in the entire world gets squished into the ground.
Except for him.
Well, anybody who was not indoors at the time is alive.
Okay.
But all the people who were indoors, people sleeping, etc., it was 3 a.m, America, they all got squished into the ground. And then, in his mind, an announcement comes, and it's in his mind, an announcement. And it's an announcement from aliens. They visited us before, and they told us to stop mining elements from our planet because they belong to them. And we didn't pay any attention to them. Our governments knew about it. We didn't pay attention.
Okay.
So these aliens are going to come back in 80 years, which is now, tonight. Because you didn't follow the rules, we're going to turn your planet into the intergalactic game show Dungeon Crawler.
God, that sounds really fun.
So everything that's been pushed down into the earth, all the buildings, they all exist now under the earth.
Okay.
And under the earth, that all of a sudden, like, stairs open up to go down under the earth. And there's levels under the earth that's been made. And you've got to fight your way to the bottom of the thing to win the prize. And it's all televised throughout the whole galaxy. And it is insane. So that's what happens in the first few minutes.
Very interesting.
So it's along the lines of Ready Player One, but a bit more goofy, I would say. Because his cat, he doesn't like cats, but he's got this cat with him. The cat, once you get into the game, the cat gets intelligence and it is able to speak.
Okay.
And it knows everything about his life because it spent a lot of time with him, including everything about his girlfriend, what he did while he was in the room with the cat being, you know, when a cat's in the room and you just do your own thing.
Yes. So the cat can tell everything.
The cat says things like, you know, like when you used to spend time on your own in the bedroom and I'd be sat on the dresser and he'd be like, please don't talk about that, you know. So it's funny and it's insane. It's the kind of thing you can only really do in a book. I think it'd be hard to put it on a screen. It's so big.
You thought that about Ready Player One?
I did, but this is like the universe is watching. And sometimes it cuts to like the universe, you know, like how the TV show is being made.
It sounds really super fun.
And it's book number 1, Dungeon Crawler Carl. There are 7 books.
Oh, great.
So I found it the other day and I was like, I was watching a YouTuber who recommends, you know, books. And he was like, if you've not read this is really cool. And I was like, that sounds like something I would like. I'm about halfway through book 1 and I can tell you it is amazing.
Very good.
So that's the recommendation, Dungeon Crawler Carl. Sitso, what's for dinner?
Well, we're having takeout because I've been out. I've been eating a lot of takeaway and restaurant food in the last week, but we're going to do it again and I don't know what. So you choose. What do you want?
An Impossible Whopper.
Oh, okay. We're going. That sounds good. French fries sound really good.
Yeah.
So I went with my friend to Kansas City. Everyone's heard of Kansas City, Missouri/Kansas. And for 4 nights, was it? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. From Monday to Friday. And every day we would go to different places to eat. And of course, you know, we're vegetarian, which is why we're talking about our food. And, you know, my friend was like, can you eat anything there? I said, everywhere, every place will have something to eat. French fries, a salad, a baked potato, any vegetables, but you have to be careful with vegetables because they often put meat in the vegetables, which I've learned since 2009, since becoming vegetarian. You're like, oh, be careful when you order. Yeah, you be careful when you order green beans because they often have ham or bacon in them or whatever. Yeah. So I'm like, wherever we go. So I've had a lot of potatoes, sweet potatoes, salads. Oh my God, I had a wrap that had sweet potatoes and feta and parsley, like a whole bunch of fresh. That was delicious. We ate a lot of bars, just so you know. So we had a beverage. So there's a Bloody Mary involved. So tonight, yeah, that sounds really good. Some more French fries. Sounds fantastic.
All right.
My advice.
Your advice, yes.
You
don't seem to have any.
I don't. But by the time you're my age, and I'm telling you this, it's kind of too late. So I apologize. But if you have made a friend in your life, in your formative years, let's say between the ages of 12 and 16, and you're my age, 57, by the way, and they're still your friend, you know,
you're lucky.
You're very lucky. It is an accomplishment. And I mean the kind of friendship where my friend and I are so different. I mean, we're so different. And yet there's this, we're like two puzzle pieces, right? Like the thing that that she isn't, I am. But the difference in us is just, it would be comical if you made us characters in a movie. You'd be like, they can't be friends. But because of our differences and because I'm like, I just love her as my friend, therefore, everything that I might see in other people where I'm like, oh, I don't, if you met a new person, for example, but I've known her almost my whole life since I think we were 13 when we met and we did not like each other. But of course, as stories go, you just ended up going to classes together and we were the only two girls in a lot of our classes back in junior high. And also both of our names is Cindy. So, we were Cindy and Cindy. So that was also a bonding thing. And it's still funny now. People call me Sid, as in Sid Talk. And I did that when I was a kid because my best friend's name was Cindy. So I didn't want to always be the other Cindy. But if you have a chance to, if you're 12 right now, so listen up, 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds, make a friend and then learn to be. And I don't believe in unconditional love, that exact thing. Like you can't allow people to be terrible or whatever. My friend isn't terrible. I'm not terrible to her. You learn to be like, I just love this whole person and I need them in my life. They're going to be in my life from all of our times. We've been married. She's had kids. She's got grandkids. I've moved around. I've married 2 men from different countries over the years. I've traveled. We've all had our traumas, and yet we're just always connected. We don't even live near each other. This week has been like the most time I think we've ever spent with each other at one time. It's very valuable. And I will say this, even though you're my husband and I love you, friendships like that are just a little bit higher up on the
rude.
You know what? It's a reality.
There's nobody higher up than you.
I don't abandon my friends. We do our lives, so you're not up in each other's business constantly or holding each other's hands through every single day. But there is a hierarchy.
Rude.
She asked me like a couple days in, she's like, do you miss Ace Scully? She didn't say Ace Scully. And I'm like, I mean, I do, but I'm fine.
Rude.
So if I went on like Survivor, because we had Survivor on the TV and they have to make you be away for like a month, I'd be like, I'm fine with that.
Well, I know where I fit.
Exactly. There's my friend and then Survivor and then you.
All right. ascully.com. I want to tell you, Sid Talk, I've deleted my Facebook.
Okay.
So I want to tell the listeners also.
Hi.
There is no Facebook page anymore because Facebook's been acting weird for me for how many years?
Many.
So I decided I'm just going to delete Facebook completely and maybe come back to it with a new account at some point, or maybe just not bother with it at all.
Sure.
So we're not on Facebook. That's all I wanted to say with that.
And you do Instagram for your podcast, so I can always share them.
Yeah, and I'm still on Instagram.
On Facebook, on my.
I'm not one of those people who's like, I'm going off Meta because they did this, that, and the other. No, it's just Facebook's. I don't know what's wrong with my Facebook.
It messed you up a long time ago, and then they wouldn't fix it. And
now it's even worse. I can't even make a post. It has like a red error comes up. And it's not me. It's just, I don't know.
You don't need it. Just ditch it.
I ditched it.
Yeah.
And I didn't do the, I'm going to archive the account. I just did the, please delete the account.
Delete it all.
And they even said, they don't delete it right away. You have to wait 60 days before they delete it.
Really?
I mean, it won't be there now. It'll say something like, this is in the process of being deleted.
Right.
But it doesn't go away for 60 days, which is, they really want your data, don't they?
Oh, they still got your data because if you go back, they'll remember you.
And there's no way they're deleting that. They're just going to put it in a
Correct.
recycle bin or something. Recycle bin. The Facebook recycle
You're sitting in the digital recycle bin, waiting to be renewed.
ascully.com. That's the place you can go to catch this podcast. You can go to Twitter, Instagram, also on Blue Sky, by the way. I signed up for that a few months ago.
Okay.
Keep posting the podcast on there, but I don't have any followers, so.
Doesn't matter.
It's like if you scream something in space and there's nobody there, does anybody
Does
hear
it exist?
Yeah. But we're there anyway. We're also on YouTube. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify. We're on Amazon Music. Anywhere the podcasts are available. Email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Don't email Sid Talk. She doesn't want your email. And stay classy, Heart Eyes. I'm sure we're going to see the sequel to this next year.
Right on. And I'm going to say, think for yourselves, because if you're not doing it, and some of you aren't, someone's doing it for you.